it's a small business owner. We're not talking about large businesses here. We're talking about small businesses. Small business, you're hiring the whole person. Mm-hmm. If you don't like one aspect of how they sip their coffee, don't hire them.
So shifting gears real quick, I want to talk a little bit about teams and partnerships, because I know that's something you have a lot of experience with. And as creatives, we're building something beyond ourselves, bigger than ourselves. And for many of us, there is a need for a business partner and or, of course, a team. And so when's the right time, or what's the litmus test for knowing whether you, number one, need to start out with a partner, and number two, once you're at that certain point, like when is it time to up the team? When's it time to bring in the voice, the extra talent, whether it's an internship, a part-time, a full-time, a 1099, whatever. What's your philosophy on that?
Well,
I mean, you used to have a team and analytics company back in the day.
Right.
So you know a lot about the personality side. And a lot of people just think, we need to hire.
It's funny that you remember that.
Oh, yeah. So a lot of this people think about, I just need to hire this talent.
No.
I just need to hire the guy that knows this software, or I just need to hire this person that knows this client, or and we're automatically will be great. No. And I think it's one of the biggest mistakes people can make. So can we address that?
Absolutely. So I'll start off with a maybe somewhat well-known phrase that you can go faster alone, farther together. Right? Faster alone, farther together. So let's start on that first part. Faster alone. Absolutely. You can go so much faster by yourself. And adding on to that is that you want to go as fast as you possibly can by yourself and do the unscalable as long as possible to the point where you need to find a partner or someone to help you out. And the reason is because in any type of project, any type of company building, you have to learn the entire business of that. You have to do ops, you have to do admin, you have to do sales, marketing, service delivery. You have to do all of that. And you have to learn all of that. And it is much easier to learn all of that when it's just you and it's one opinion, not multiple. And so because we've talked about it in the beginning, right? I've built iPhone apps, mobile apps, consulting companies, full-fledged, cryptocurrency exchange, like complex exchange companies. Like I've built a lot of different companies in a lot of different markets. But in any of those markets, I had to learn as much as I possibly could about that business without any other distractions, without any other people. So I always say, go as fast as you possibly can, do the unscalable until it is no longer it's no longer possible, no longer feasible. At that point, you need to find someone to help you out, someone to help you go farther. Now, when it comes to finding someone to help you go farther, the most important thing is to trust your gut. I can't tell you, Kevin, how many times where I have not trusted my gut on a hire, and it took me too long to fire him, it took me too long to get rid of him, it took too long to have those tough conversations, and it was a waste of my time. Like, the Egyptians have said that your gut was like your second brain.
Mm-hmm. I would even more nerve endings in your gut than your brain.
Oh, for sure.
Yep.
And I would go even farther from my own pragmatic experience, is that trusting my gut has been one of the best things that I could have ever learned in all of this business building, is that when I meet someone and my gut just tells me that they're not the right fit, they're not going to work out, doesn't matter if they have checked all the boxes.
Yeah.
And then that's one of the things that new business owners, new operators will all fall into the trap of, is that they'll hire for a function. No, you don't hire a sales guy just to do sales. You don't hire a marketing guy, marketing. You need to hire the whole person.
Right.
Because we kind of compartmentalize the functions, the functions of the individual versus the individual themselves. It's a small business owner. We're not talking about large businesses here. We're talking about small businesses. Small business, you're hiring the whole person. Mm-hmm. If you don't like one aspect of how they sip their coffee, don't hire them. Because the way that they sip...
I can't tell you how many guys that we have just fired because of the freaking way they drank coffee.
I'm telling you, if it irks you to no end, that's going to be like a nail into your temple at night.
Yeah.
And so trusting your gut when it comes to hiring is absolutely essential. And I can't hammer this home enough for your listeners here. trust your gut. If your gut has even an inkling of, man, this guy, this gal, it's not gonna, just something there, don't sign the contract. Don't bring them on until either that's gone or whatever
addressed, resolved,
addressed or resolved. Yeah.
I know people hire on their gut, like you're talking about. It's great to do that, and you need to do that. I mean, there's important information that comes from that place. But beyond the gut, I think there needs to also be some consideration, and I know you would agree, with regard to personality type and voice types. And you used to have a company that dealt with that at one time. Right. Can you speak to that?
So I probably have more experience than most around personality types, like your Myers-Briggs, right? Your Strengths Finders 2.0, your DISCs.
Now you got the Enneagram.
That's right, exactly. So I actually worked with 3 PhDs out of Texas and created a startup building a psychometric assessment survey tool similar to Myers-Briggs or DISC or Insight. And so it was called Team Science, and we focused on team dynamics. So I know a lot about this area, and it's very, very important. There'll be 2 things that I want to talk about here. The first is, I'll start with an example. And the example comes from, I believe, a 2012 article from Psychology Today where they found that 90% of hiring managers hire people exactly like themselves to solve problems that they can't solve. And so
sounds like a big mistake.
Yeah, it's a big mistake. And the reason they hire people like themselves is because they're like themselves. It's easy to connect with them. It's easy to make rapport. It's easy to have the same vernacular, the same speech patterns, or the same intonations of how they communicate effectively, or the same historicity of the background that they came from. And so it's easy to connect with those people. The problem is that those people can't solve the problems that you can't solve. And so there'd be 2 things that I'd say. Number 1, when it comes to hiring someone, you have to look at the whole person. We talked about this a little bit with trusting your gut, but look at the whole person. Are there things about this person that intrigue you and excite you about who they are? When I have worked, now this is so important, and it might not seem important on the surface, but if I can't get excited about who you are, why the hell would I want to work with you? If I hired someone just like myself, I already know everything about you. We both grew up in New Jersey. We both hung out in this casino. We both like the same games. We both like soccer. I have nothing else to learn about you. And so when you're looking at the whole person, are there things that intrigue you about them that make you want to learn more about them? And the more that you learn about them, the more a good leader is able to do is extract things from them. Like, hey, you're great at doing X, you're great at doing Y. Let's try this together. Let's try stretching you here in this type of role. And that's what good leaders do, is when they hire the whole person and leverage the whole person for who they are, not just some sort of functional role that you're going to be a sales, or you're going to be a marketing, or you're going to be a developer, or you're going to be an analyst, or whatever.
Yeah, one of the points that comes to mind for me right now is what Zappos. I don't know if they still are. I assume they still are. But back in the day, one of the reasons why Amazon purchased them was they were known for their incredible culture. I mean, Tony Hsieh, in the business he built, he wrote a book about it called Delivering Happiness.
Right.
And you've got the idea that you don't just ask someone to show up to their job and leave everything about who they are behind. And so they built one of the most incredible companies by saying, hey, bring all of who you are to work. And their culture was unlike any other company, and people loved working there. So much so that Zappos would pay them up front, we'll give you $2,000 to quit your first week.
Exactly.
Take it. And they'll say, nope, we love this company too much to take that. We're staying. I mean, it's just crazy, but amazing that you would say, hey, you play the guitar, bring a guitar to work. Exactly. Hey, you used to live in Hawaii, bring your stuff to the office. I want your desk to look like where you used to live.
Exactly.
Whatever it is, just like, and there was just this melting pot of personality and talent and freedom and, ideas and so forth.
And that's number 2. Number 1 is you're hiring the entire person of them. They have to be someone that intrigues you and interests you, so that you are incentivized to learn more about them, so that you can, as a good leader, extract great things out of them. But number 2 is you have to understand if they are, and I like to use this term, radically transparent or radically authentic. If that individual, and we're talking at the leadership level here, if they are not radically authentic with you, don't hire them ever. Ever. If they can't be honest with you about who they are, their worldviews, their mental models around work, around family, around faith, a multiplicity of things that you deem valuable to you.
Yeah.
If they cannot be radically transparent around that stuff, then they should not be at the leadership level with you. Now remember, the context of this is creatives, consultants, small company, we're hiring leadership in the beginning. We'll hire employees, later.
Yeah.
Employees, I don't need to know all the ins and outs of who they are, right? They're a couple of steps removed or a couple levels removed. But if we're talking about leadership here, they're getting into bed with you. And Lord Jesus, I'll tell you, I only get into bed with one woman. Now, if I'm going to be getting into business bed with, all these other people, I better freaking like them. Mm-hmm. And not just I'm hiring you, I have a high from hiring you and it's exciting to go through that process. For me, hiring is one of the most stressful things that I could ever do in a company, because I know that bad relationships at the leadership level, it doesn't matter if you have a multi-billion-dollar idea. Bad relationships at the leadership level will tank your best ideas every day.
House divided, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So
absolutely,
it's good. And I know there's a lot more we could talk about that in terms of, if you've got this kind of personality or voice type here, you're going to have weaknesses over here that you need to kind of fill with other members of your team. And
it's your job as a leader to ask those probing questions, those discovery questions of these people that you're going to hire. Like, what do you think about X? What do you think about Z? Have you ever, dealt with this? And we're not stupid. I have not hired people merely because of the way that they responded to a single question that I asked. They paused, they diverted their eyes, and I was like, "You're lying," or "You're not being fully authentic here," or "You're placating, or you're glazing over the real details." And I'll say, "Hey, man, like, is it just me, or did you kind of like softball that answer? Mm-hmm. Did you kind of like glaze over the real details?" And they say, "Well, I didn't think it was that important." It's like, yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. Because I'm hiring you for a role that I think is integral to the success of our company. And if you feel like the shorter answer is the better way to get out of this conversation, then I don't want to have this conversation anymore. I want to know the real.
Sure. I remember you told me years ago, character is king, and I love that.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's so simple, but it's so true. And that's true of your team, it's true of yourself. You've got to lead with that, I think, in all aspects.
I've worked with so many teams at clients where they have rock stars with shitty attitudes. I don't care if you can write code up and down. I don't care if you're the best X, Y, and Z in your market. If you're an asshole, if you're a jerk, if you're someone that's not at peace with yourself, not a person that is enjoyable to work with, I don't care how awesome you are, right? I want to work with people who are authentically frail, authentically real, authentically broken.
Yeah, kind of we're all in this mess,
Like, you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Mm-hmm. We're trying to build something great out of the imperfectness of who we are together, right? And if you can't give me the real now, when we're up against a wall and we're making some of the toughest decisions to pivot our business or do X, Y, and Z, and if you can't give me the real now, you're not going to give me the real then. Mm-hmm. And the reason is because you're going to be playing to me. You're going to be saying what you think I need to hear. You're going to say something that you think is politically correct or the right thing to say at that moment in time. I don't ever want to hear the right thing. I already know what the right thing to do is. Mm-hmm. I need you to tell me otherwise. I need you to give me the other side of that balanced equation. I need you to tell me why it's not a good idea. I need you to tell me, Peter, this is why I'm going to stick by it. I want to go to toe-to-toe. I want to fight over it. Mm-hmm. Because, just like in the Matrix with Neo, when he's fighting that the key maker or whatever, I don't remember.
Oh, yeah.
The best way to know, and in martial arts, let's say, the best way to know your opponent is to have to fight him. Because then you know everything about him. Right? So, spar with him.